Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today I'm going to show you how to make a fresh greens wreath. And since I live in Maine, I can go right out in my own backyard and get all the supplies I need pretty much. And I'm kind of challenging myself to do that. So if you feel like you need to go to the craft store and purchase any of these things, that's totally fine. But keep your mind open because you might actually have everything you need in your backyard. The first thing I found to use in my wreath are these berry branches. They have all these little red berries and they grow back every year. I pretty much clip them down for different decorations every year and they always come back. I also have some pine cones here that I collected when I was raking the other day, and since they are from my pine trees, they're very sappy and pitchy. So if you are making a fresh greens wreath with your own supplies from your backyard, everything's going to be super fresh and kind of sticky from the sap, so you're definitely going to want a strong cleaner to wash your hands with afterwards. I recommend lava soap. They're actually sponsoring this video today, but the thing I really like about the lava soap versus like the liquid soaps that have the pumice in them and that smell citrusy, I feel my hands get so dried out with almost all other heavy-duty soaps, and these actually have moisturizers in it, and I feel like having the bar versus a liquid, it actually helps kind of scrape some of that sap off my hands, and it just works really well for cleaning up not only after my wreath messes, but after any of my crafty adventures that I get myself into. This stuff does the trick, and you can pretty much find it inexpensively at any store, grocery store, department store, wherever. I'll put a link in the video description so you can go find out where you can get it closest to you, right to their website, and I'm sure you can find it. And the other things that I decided I wanted to do, I didn't want to do a solid green wreath. I wanted to use a couple different types of branches, so I have some cedar, and that's these flat leaves here, and oh, it smells so good. And I also got some fir, and this is what the fir looks like. It's kind of like what a lot of Christmas trees are made out of. They're a lot fuller and denser, so they're really going to fill out the wreath really well. And then I also, for a different texture, I got some pine right here, and pine is kind of like, it reminds me of the Charlie Brown Christmas tree. It's very sparse, but it's got kind of like almost like a tassely, ethereal look. So I've got 3 different textures right there for my greens. So now that we have all of our supplies together, we are ready to start making this wreath. So let's go to the table and I'll show you how it's done. The other supplies and tools you're going to need are these. You're going to need a wreath form, and I got this at the Dollar Tree. They have them all the time. I think it's about a 12, maybe 14-inch wreath form, and you can reuse it. You can actually do this any size. It doesn't matter. The same process goes for whatever size you're making, or shape even. You're going to need some wire cutters, some floral wire, which is very inexpensive. It's just a very thin coated wire. And you're going to need your snips. These are like pruning shears, and these will help you cut down any unruly pieces of the wreath. So what you're going to do with all of the pieces that you've collected is you're going to make little bundles, and I've made one right here. It's just little kind of sachets of your evergreen, and since I'm using a mix of different greens, I'm going to stack them up. And I've got, this is one of the firs. Actually, I have 2 different kinds. I've got one that's a little fuller, and I've got one that's a little flatter, and I'm going to stack these on top of each other. And then I'm going to put on a sprig of cedar, and I'm going to put in a sprig of pine. So I have all these nice textures kind of working together. And then I'm going to bundle them up together on the end, and I am going to wrap them with the floral wire to make sure they're nice and tight. And you do want to wrap really, really tight and go around probably 5 or 6 times to make sure you lock those in well, and then just trim it closely and set it aside. Now don't worry if you have any like bits sticking out that don't look that great. After you've built your wreath, you can go ahead and trim any unwieldy parts if you think it's necessary at that point. So don't bother trimming out any bits like that. You can trim some of your branches shorter to make them the right length. You do want to try to get most of these about the same length so that when you put your wreath together, it'll look nice and uniform. But you just want to do that with all of the greens that you've cut. If you only have one type of green, that's totally fine. Just make up, just use several pieces and bundle them together so you have those little kind of bundles or sachets of your greenery. Okay, I have all of my greens bundled up. I've got a stack on the floor and a stack on my table, and I think we'll have plenty to do this wreath. Now I'm leaving the wreath round side up because when we're all done after Christmas, when the the wreath is well, I'd leave it up until it didn't look good anymore and it was getting dried out. I'll be able to go through and I'll be able to cut all of my wires. So I'm going to start by just attaching my wire here just to one of these spokes. You just want to put it on there real good because this is one end of the entire what's holding the wreath together. And I actually like to work right off the spool. You don't have to. You could You could cut it if you wanted to, but I think this is kind of a good way to do it. And then I'm going to take my first piece and I'm going to wire it on. The other advantage of having the flat, the curved up part is that if these dry out and you need to tighten them, you can actually just go in with pliers and twist a little bit on the back and tighten that up. So that's kind of a nice feature there. So I think I'm also going to, I'm just kind of worried with this first one. I want to make sure it's really down good. So I'm going to do just a bit of wire kind of in between my bundle there. Okay, we're off to a good start there. You can fluff it a little bit. And I'm going to grab my next one. I like the way this one came out. It was nice and full. And I am going to keep on wrapping this around. Very satisfying because you did all the hard work by bundling it together. So this is kind of the fun stuff. And I don't feel like I need to do another one in the middle of that. I think it's just in that first one. And gosh, I'm kind of wishing I went the other way now because some of these branches just want to, they kind of want to go that way. I think I'll hold off on that one. Let's do this one. Nice and full. Keep making sure you twist in the same direction so you don't end up, like having it unravel on you. That would be awful. If you feel like you've got some long pieces and you don't feel like they're anchored down very well, you can, do what we did on that first one. Kind of feel like I want a little bit more around the edge, so now I'm going to take this one because it wants to lean over a little bit more, and I think that would be good to have that one right there. You can see how it really fills in. So if you're doing a bigger wreath, then you can have longer bundles. A smaller wreath, you want shorter bundles. I mean, these are probably as long as you want to go for a wreath this big around. It's going to be nice and full, though. I think it's going to be really pretty. We're getting to the end here, and I've just got like 3 bundles left, so I timed it pretty good. I was kind of worried that I might run out before I actually got to the end, but I think we're going to be just about right for this wreath. But the thing is, since I didn't want to cut a ton too much, because I can always go back out to my backyard and get more, so waste not, want not. And we'll get these last 2 pieces in. Oh, this is going to be perfect. And I'll show you how to nestle that last piece in just a second. It's a real time saver when you pre-bundle everything. Okay, so this is the first one that we put down, and I saved a smaller one for the end. So I'm just going to tuck that. I'm tucking that in. So, but I'm actually, if you look here in the underpinnings, right here, I'm actually kind of putting this in sideways. So I'm kind of tucking it in beyond that second piece of wire I put in there. So see, this is where the first one is wired down. Up, remember where I went in the middle and I did put the extra wire in? I'm going to lay that next to it because I really want to make sure that I have a nice uniformly full area, and I'm just going to try to find a place where I'm not going to crush anything to wire that down. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, oops, wire cutters, I am going to snip this off. This is just a single-sided wreath. It'll lay nice and flat on our door. I'm going to flip this over. I'm holding on to the tail so I don't lose it. Okay, see what I mean about, I don't know if you can hear that or not, but I can easily access any of those wires. So I'm going to go over the edge and just wrap that around the side. You can make a hanger out of this. It's not a terribly strong wire for hanging, and quite frankly most people use wreath hangers, but if you want you could like double up the wire and make a loop and use that for a hanger. I'm just going to go around itself here just to make sure that's really secure. Okay, so we have our nice full wreath, and I'll show you this at the end. I'll hold it up and show you so you can see it. But I also had some pretty berries and some pine cones. So if you want to add berries and pine cones, this is how you do it. I only have a few pine cones, and they're not, I'm telling you what, the ones in the craft store are going to be prettier, so just be aware of that. Generally things in odd numbers look better. I'm going to see if I can get 5 around this wreath. I'm gonna see. Ooh, I've got all these pine needles. Look at my hands. All this black, this is all pitch on my fingers. So I'm so glad I have the lava soap. I'm gonna kind of nestle them in a little bit just to place them to see how I want them to look. But that's not gonna hold them in there. We can't just stick them in like that. I want them all to go in the same direction, I guess. Okay, I like them kind of nestled in. So now you're gonna need your floral wire again, and you're gonna want to probably take a foot for each of these pine cones. I know it seems like a lot, but sometimes you need more. It's better than to try and add another piece of wire. So you could bundle a bunch of these together if you want. I'm just doing them on their own because they're kind of big, and you just want to wrap it around the tines. Okay, that's it. See, nothing fancy there. And then I'm just going to nestle that in where I want it. Just make sure it will show up. And then I'm just going to wrap this around to the back. And I'll flip it over so you can see. I can do it without looking, but I'm just going to twist this together on the back. These pine cones are not going anywhere. So you want to do that for each of your pine cones. Now that we have the pine cone secure, I'm pretty much just poking in the berries around them. If you can't get them to poke in, then you can go ahead and trim them, and that might make them a little bit stiffer so they'll poke in well. Just try to get them kind of caught within the branches or something. I was intending to actually wrap them up with the bundles that I made, but I forgot when I was bundling up the greens. That would have made a lot more sense, I think. So you could totally do that if you have your berries like this. There's also kinds you can get at the floral shop or the craft store that twist. They're like 2 berries on a wire and you twist them around the branches. Those work really well. Those are like I think they're like a styrofoam with like a paint. They're like a painted styrofoam. So they're not that great in weather, I'll tell you that. But if you're doing like an indoor wreath, that might be a good option. I'm doing an outdoor wreath mainly because we heat with a wood stove in the winter where we have a fireplace insert, so it gets kind of dry and I really don't want a natural wreath in here. I might save this one if I do a bow or something. This one's really bold, and again, these are all from my tree, so they're not perfect. They're very natural, but I think that's what I really like about this project, and the fact that I was able to do it all just with stuff around my house. You can always do a little piece of wire over some of these berries if they don't seem like they want to stay in. You could wire them down. I don't think they're not very heavy, so I don't think they're really going to need that. But you do whatever you think is appropriate for your wreath. You know, if you're in a high wind area, I kind of like how the branches stick out too at random angles. I think that's kind of cool. So you know what you need for wherever you live. If you live in a warm climate, you might have a better luck keeping your wreath around longer if it's inside, just because like the heat is going to dry them out quicker. So that's pretty much all there is to it. If you want to trim any pieces that you feel like are sticking out, let's see, like maybe this guy over here is a little unwieldy. Just take your trimmers and just trim. I wouldn't get too fussy with it because it's a natural looking wreath. And you can also wait a bit and let the stuff relax, let the boughs relax, so that you can really see what you need to trim. So I'm going to clean up my mess, and then we can see what this wreath looks like, and we can clean the pitch off our hands. Oh my gosh, I've got stuff stuck to me. Okay, I've got my wreath hanging up, and I'm going to show you it in a second, but first I want to see if I can get the pitch off of my hands. Oh, I can feel it coming off already with lava soap. This stuff is so fantastic. I love how it doesn't dry my skin out, and I do appreciate their support of some of the tutorials on my channel. All right, let's have a look here. Oh, I think I might just take one wash with that. That's paint from before. But it's taking that off too. That's great. All right, so if you are looking for soap that'll take pitch off your hands after you make your wreath, look no further, folks. Ta-da, pitch free, yay! smells amazing, it looks great, and it really didn't take us all that long. And what it cost us, $1. I mean, the wreath form, I had to buy that. That was $1. The wire I already had, but I think those were only about $1 or $2 a spool. So, and I have plenty more that I can make a bunch more wreaths if I wanted to. So it's definitely a frugal home decor item that you can feel proud about making for your house. You could even make some and sell them as fundraisers, or make some to give to other family members to let them know you're thinking of them during the holidays. I had so much fun making this with you today, and if you have any questions about this project, please go ahead and leave them in the comments below. I want to thank Lava Soap for sponsoring this video today, and I want to thank you for stopping by and spending a little bit of your day with me. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, happy crafting!